Hey guys, welcome to day 67 part 2 of our stream, and we are going to be looking at the changes I have made which have extended our use of our asset. So you will remember earlier I basically had this guy, and if we look at him, where's have we got auto activate? Yeah, auto activates there. Right, so I don't know why he's not, but point being that now what I've done is I have extended, I think what we needed to do was this was lighting our dog, but these were only working with skeletal meshes. You see that? And switch it off. But now we've converted this into one that works with a static mesh. Okay, so from our free assets, I have converted it to work with a static mesh, and now we can actually apply that to any static mesh we want, right? So for example, if we click on this, now I've called it BP Storehouse, but it could be basically anything, right? If I go to our static mesh and we pick something else, let's say don't know what to pick. Right, say we wanted that. Okay. Well, we're going to need to compile this, of course. Now the interesting thing here is that this doesn't seem to kind of work. Right, now you'll notice that it worked on the house, right, but let's browse to the storehouse, right, and let's delete this one out. Now let's drag it in again to see if that is the issue. Now you can see that this isn't actually working, right? Now I'm not 100% sure why this is happening, right? It says no mesh assigned, but we are assigning the mesh, right? Now you'll notice here though that this is said and this is not actually, why is it not allowing me to set this? Have I got to, you see it doesn't allow me to do a mesh there. Hi Cassadell Gaming, how are you doing? Right, what we're going to do is we're going to change this back to the storehouse, right? And then it suddenly works. Right, I have no idea why it works with that, but not any other thing. Because you will notice that there's nothing changed here. I haven't changed anything. I've just said attached to parent blah de blah de blah de blah. Right? So you can see the effect this has, which is pretty cool. Now that we've got it. Well, thank you. So you guys can see the effects of that, which is pretty darn cool. Right? And that is for the, this is made out of the asset from this month's free assets, right? Where I am using the original one on the wolf here, right? So let me show you the one on the wolf, which I'm doing a bit of stuff on. Right, so if we press 8, you'll see that it basically builds up slow and then gradually gets more and more fire. Okay, now I still think there's too many embers on that, so we can fix that, right? So we could go 50 on that. Right. You can see there. Now I'm doing a ridiculous amount of particles on this. Right, the better idea would be to have bigger particles, but less of them. Right, you can notice here I've got like 20,000 or something like that. And you can see there that we've got a much lesser effect. Right, we can go and turn around and see inside. Okay. That's pretty cool. And we can see there that that's pretty nice. Okay, so what we really want to do here is have a look at some of these other ones to see what we like about them and if we can change them, right? As I say, today we're having a little play with these assets. So we've got bubbles, buttons, chains, coins, crystals, diamonds, flowers, glass, glitter, light orbs, pixels, rocks, scripts. Right, scripts are not that. Twigs. Okay, so they're going to have materials and meshes. So I'm guessing that the meshes are in here. Yep. And we've got the twigs and stuff. Charcoal. What's this? Toilet paper. Apparently we've got toilet paper. Okay, whatever. Chain links. Might be interesting. Right, let's have a look then at this. Right, so what I can do is if we go into, let's say, one of our monsters. Right, so let's say this guy. Right. And if we make blueprint class actor and just call him BP infected. Okay. And skeletal mesh infected. Okay. And Niagara system. Okay. And then we're to pick. I wonder what the chains one is. I'm interested in this because this wasn't in any of the trailers or anything. Alright, it's compiling shaders, so we're going to have a look at this one. This could be interesting. Let's grab the coffee. Now this is an SK mannequin. Right. And we're on auto activate, but we're waiting on shaders as per usual. There's always a shader to be waited on. But we'll get there. Nothing to be worrying about. So how are you guys out in YouTube world? How's it going? So we're on 113, 103, 93. Right, so where are Alright, so let's place this guy down. And right, why is this not activating? Is it because infected? That's a preview mesh. Compile that. Okay. How come that ain't working? Oh yeah, it is. Look at that. He's got chains all over him. Well, that's interesting, I suppose. I suppose we'd have to decide on how many chains and how big the chains are. Right, but you could certainly do something interesting with that. Right. So you can see them there. Right, so what we'll have is hidden in game and hidden. Okay, then what we'll do is we'll add another one. Let's have a look at another one, shall we? Coins, crystals, diamonds, flowers. Wonder what the glass is. Right, delete that. Well, we can't really delete that. Right, but we can delete that. Okay. So we can do... Yeah, we've got a few that you guys have... Well, this one was actually the original one that was in... that I was working with, but... we can attach to parent. Right. Save that. Yeah, Cass, it's actually the original enemy. Or one of them anyway. We're having to wait on shaders again, not good. Not good. Not much fun. I'll maybe end up working on something else if these are all going to have to basically do all of these. I just wanted to take a look at a couple of these to see if we could amend them and use them in some other way. Which I'm sure we can. This one actually looks interesting. Right? If you notice here, it's actually doing some cool stuff. Right, but we just need these shaders to compile. Come on, hurry up. Now, what you've got to remember is that you could actually make enemies out of these actual shaders, right? Sorry, these particle systems, right? Because what we could do is hide the mesh, right? And just basically have it skin as the particle effect, right? I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. Right. Come on. Shaders, please compile. Question I'm wondering about is, what does this glass look like? So if we look at meshes, right, is it? Right, so we've got our coin, we've got our sticky note, pixel, orb, flowers. So it's using a random one of these flowers and grass to do the flowery one. But what I'm interested in is this thing here. Right, this could actually be quite useful. Right, now I'm guessing right, yeah. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. And we can see there that it's beginning to look what we'd probably want to do here is switch on collision for these, and as soon as they collide with the ground, then we basically, they die. That's going to improve performance, but what we could do it's still got those shaders to go, right? But just to have a little bit of fun with this, what we could do is get this skeletal mesh, right, and just switch it off. Right, so we could literally just put hidden in game. Right, And then if we press play, right, you'll notice that we've got a kind of see-through enemy. Right? One of the other things I wanted to look at was, say for example, this monster here, right? You'll notice, right, that if we look at this thing here, we can actually set the bones, right? Which means we can add the bones that cover the parts that have got like the infection. So we could basically add this shoulder, the head, this forearm, then like down here, and just have it only doing there if we wanted to, right? Which would be a really interesting way of doing it. Okay, so if I look at this, right, and then we look at the skeleton, right, that's his head, right, so if we were to do head, then upper arm, so this one, only head and upper arm left, right? Head, upper arm underscore left. Okay. So, you'll notice a head, now upper arm left. Now I don't know why it's still using them, right? Maybe if I was to press play, right, it isn't working. But it's certainly something we could do. It's not finished those shaders yet. So let's read that again. Right, filtered bones. Set of filtered bones that can be used for sampling. Not sure how that actually works. Not as simple as I thought. What's this mesh? Yeah, it's not that. I'm guessing this is basically in the filtered bones. So we'd probably have to go into here and have a look. Okay, skeletal mesh. That's using this NMS. So I'm guessing this is, well, it's the mesh source. But what we want to do I'm guessing void field surfaces, so it's not that. Right, see what I'm trying to do is, this is telling me filtered bones, right? But where are these filtered bones used? Okay, that's my point here. So if they're used in here, where are they used? Bones. Okay. So, filtered bones. Okay. So, we can get a series of bones, which we've just done head and left upper shoulder. Okay. I've got to wait on this compiling again. It's still doing it. Alright, so the question is, why is it doing that? Right, we've said filtered bones, head, upper arm. So what I would have expected is either A, it didn't draw them on the head and upper arm, or B, it did. Right, so what's this sampling region? So what is this? I'm going to say head. can say upper arm underscore L. So I'm wondering what this is. Compile that. Right, and now we're getting nothing. If we go back to here, alright, so that doesn't do anything. Triangles don't do anything. So if we go back here and we bin them, compile it, right, and that's still not doing anything. So alright, so we don't want that. Filtered. Compile that. Save it. Right, and this seems to be back the way it was, really. Right, so it isn't doing this. Whatever it's supposed to do, it isn't doing it. Right? I can only guess. Alright, sample position of. Okay, whatever. Interesting. Right, so we're going to have a little play with that, because it's going to be able to do things that we want it to do, like have particles come out of particular points of the body, which we can fairly well say what they are, right? But for whatever reason, it's still drawing them on places that we actually don't want. Now, UV set index, don't know what that is going to do for us, to be honest. Alright. So yeah. Don't know what this is going to do either. Nothing much. Right, so that doesn't help us. so that's okay. Right, that's only for debug. Right, so I'm not too sure on this one why these sockets aren't being used when I fill this in. Ah, wait a minute. Ah, bones. Yeah, we want the bones. Unfiltered bones. Right, so in theory, doing that should mean that it doesn't come out the head or the arm, but they're still coming out the head and arm and everywhere else. Right, so just like the other one wasn't working, right, you can see that it's not really having an effect. Okay. So yeah. Now, the other one we could do is basically the flowers. Right? Now, this one we can switch that off. Right, this is attached to parent. Infected. Right, now this has got quite a few shaders to do. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a quick cigarette, guys. I'm going to leave this to compile away. So in the meantime, guys, if you don't mind, hit like and subscribe. Check out the description for links to the game's Discord, my personal Discord, also Patreon, and my previous game on Steam. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a couple of minutes and we'll let this compile. Okay guys, we are back. So, in effect, we have a flowery man. Actually, you know what we should use for this? It shouldn't be, it should be the twigs. Right? And we should just allow it to do its thing. And we'll delete him out. We'll save that. Put default. Right, tell you what we'll do. We'll delete that, delete that, delete that. Add a new component, Niagara. It's not going to be glass. Right. It's going to be twigs. Right, and there, in fact, is that. Okay. So if we compile that and save it and browse to it, right, and then drag them in, okay. We can actually see that he's pretty cool, right? But again, you've got the problem that we really want to not use all of the hand or all of the head, right? So we really want it done by either socket or something else, right? So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to go to this skeletal mesh, right, just for a laugh, right? I'm going to go to here, right? I'm going to go to this skeletal mesh and I'm going to actually add a socket. Add a socket, right? And I'm going to save that. Okay. Then we're going to go into our BP infected, into here, right? And we're going to say filtered sockets. and this should only give us one, right, which was this socket here, right? So if I copy that and put that in there, okay, and then we go to NS Twigs, and we go to skeleton sockets and random filtered sockets, then hit save. Right, see, that should not be doing that, right? Let's see what this does. If we save that, right, so that's not working. Right, so that's saying skeletal mesh, that's saying skeletal mesh. Right, I'm just wondering if this, right, so it's this thing here. I'm not 100% sure what this should be, but it's certainly not working. Okay, well, this is a bit strange. It's all a bit strange how that doesn't work, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back. Right. Just say vertices. But to get it even, more even over the mesh, we'd really want to do it so that it's not got as many. We'd want to do it by bones, right? But we'd want to take out some of the bones. For example, all the fingers, right? No matter how we wanted it to work, that's certainly what we'd want to do. Right, but it's definitely something we can play at. Right, now as you can see, we were doing it by socket, but it obviously isn't really working because it's basically still drawing pretty much everywhere. Especially on his head. Right. So, as I said, we'd certainly want to, let's see, Where's his head? Right, head. Right, we'll try that. Right, so that's certainly having no effect. And that's having no effect. Now, that's maybe because we've changed this again. But obviously not. Right, it's definitely not selecting these the filtered bones, right? If we were to say direct filtered bones, right now, the interesting thing would be if we said random unfiltered bones. Now this should have nothing to do with his head. Right? So this just shouldn't grow out of his head. Right? Those should not grow out of his head. And I don't know why they don't, or do. Now I'm wondering if these aren't getting put through. If it's something to do with that. Right, so there's the filtered bones. And it still draws them on his head. Doesn't seem to matter what we do here. It is not playing by the rules. Right, because what we should be able to do now is say head neck let's add something else. Head neck 01. Do we have any other kind of neck thing or head thing? Apparently not. Right, but whatever's going on here, it is definitely not selecting these. Right? We should be doing only the head or only the rest of the body, and it doesn't seem to have any effect on the sockets, no matter which one I pick. no matter which one I do. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bin this because it has no effect. I'll just put it back to what it was because it's having no effect for whatever reason. Okay. Now, the interesting part of this is this Niagara script module. Right? And I'm believing this might be what is basically overwriting this mesh try. Okay. So, as I said, I'm guessing that these two scripts are basically I think these scripts are basically bypassing the filtered ones, right, which is obviously causing us a problem. Or not causing a problem, but they're just basically bypassing the thing. I think what I'd have to do is recreate these, but without these scripts, to see if it is in fact these scripts that are basically messing with this. Now, it could be that if we do that, I'm wondering what this will do. Right, is this going to compile? Yes, this gives us like a really weird thing. But the interesting thing is, I think I'm onto something here. Right, because it seems that they're only spawning out of one place, which would be kind of right. It would be kind of right. I'm going to delete him. And what we want to do you'll notice that this has suddenly went a bit weird, as in it's not showing the things, right? as I said, this takes a bit of learning and mucking around with to find out what is affecting certain things. Now you'll notice right that is actually doing something. Now that is kind of doing something too, but it is actually very, very different. Now I'm wondering if we switch that on, what it's going to give us. Apparently nothing. Right. Right. So we're getting that weird thing again. Right. If we switch that one on, we get that, but as you can tell, it bypasses the head thing. Right. It just doesn't do what we expect it to do. Now if we save that as the full thing again, it does do our thing, but as I said, our problem is that this is bypassing which thing we actually use. So it seems to me that we should be using this skeletal mesh location as our input to this. Right? Now I don't know how we do this again. Module inputs. Right. So location. Right. So this would be like, oh, I don't know. It would be the output of this thing here, right? And what that is, I don't know, right? Skeletal mesh location. Right, so the input to this would be the skeletal mesh location. So in theory that's right, but as I said, I think that this, the input, it's not that. All right. Yeah, so it's like we want to use this as an output. And then use the skeletal mesh location. Right. So yeah, there's that. Okay, right. So we're not going to basically solve that tonight, that's for sure. Or probably not going to fix it at all. So I'm just going to basically close these out. Just change that to triangles. Right, and save that. We'll get the glass. We'll change that to triangles. And save that. And then what we'll do is we'll close it down. Right, but you can basically see what effect it has. If it doesn't crash, that is. Right, so where did our guy go? Did we delete him out? Must have deleted him out. Right. So let's go back to our infected zombie. Where'd I put him? Probably under mesh. Yeah. Right, so he's just got the crystals on him. Right. But the one we wanted working anyway was the fire. And we've got that, and then we wanted to get it onto a static mesh, which we have. Right? And that looks pretty good. So that is, in effect, a success. Right, and we've also got it on our dog or wolf, which we're going to test against our parasite dude. Right, so I mean, if we press that, you can see that that's working nicely. Right. Now what we'll do is we're going to apply this to the parasite monster, right? Except we're going to do it in the right place. So you can see here that we've got NS Fire X, okay, and it's going to start by being activated here, okay. So we are actually going to copy this and we're going to test it in here, so that we don't need to light a fire to actually do it. Okay, so what we're going to do is drop this dude in right in front of us, press play, and now when we fire, Right, you shouldn't have done that. Right. I'm going to go back in here. Add a breakpoint. And our problem with this is save that, go to here, it's on auto activate. That's pretty good actually. We're going to save that. Right. Going to play that. Ooh. Those are pretty scary like that, aren't they? How come I ended up with two of these here? I've got far too much embers on them. So we're going to have to make a change to that. Right, but it's definitely going to be set to not activate. Right, so we're going to press play. Okay. Alright. So I'm guessing that this was right, okay. I'm going to do that. And we're going to delete one. We're going to press play. Alright, now I don't know what's going on with that. I can, right, wait a minute. Right, so this, is this to do with the montage, is the question, right? Is it a case of the montage is interfering with the monster? Right, it's not that. Okay, but, so we can switch this back on, right? It's not that. There's something when the arrow is hitting, it is adding some kind of an impulse. Right? So we're going to need to check on that. But what we need to do is we need to go to this NS file. Right, now you'll notice that we've got the flame spawn rate. Well, we're going to need to go to this and why is it not showing these? Now I can only assume, no, it's got ember spawn rate and it's also got the lava spawn rate, I would imagine. Yeah, now I can only imagine that actually, yeah, they're down here, right? So what we need to do in that case is we kind of need to do what we're going to add custom event, right? I'm going to say activate fire. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do that. We're going to do that. Right. Then we're going to do that. And then what we're going to do is, damn it. We're going to go to our wolf. Right. And the heck? That's actually in our pawn. Right. So that's the wrong place. And yeah, it's over here. Yeah, this is it here. We're going to copy this. We're going to go to our parazombie. Then we're going to paste that in. Except we're going to move these out here. Right. So that's going to go there. If I can work my mouse for a second. So that's going to go there. That's going to go there. I'm going to check this. That's fine. Right, so we're going to grab this. And that is going to go in there. going to go in there. That's going to get deleted. Do that. Right. Now, did we activate fire? I don't think we did. Nope, we didn't. Right. Activate fire. Right, now this is actually going to go in here. Right. And most likely we're going to have some effects coming off this, right, at certain time periods. So we're going to save that. I'm going to press play. Right. Now that's really weird. Okay, so at the end of this, right, we should deactivate. Right. So when we go in, this is going to be 0, right? Everything else is going to be 0. So right, I've got no idea what's going on with that. I've got no idea what's going on with that parasite dude doing that weird stuff. The only thing I can think of, it's actually looping, right, when it shouldn't be. Right. It shouldn't loop. It is on full body. We're not doing that, so it shouldn't loop. Right, we've not set it to default or anything. Now if we do that, it should loop. Right? But we don't want to do that. Okay. Save. Okay. Now, if we remember right, there was something weird about this. Right, this parasite monster dude, right? And the wolf, when we did this to start with, it was basically really weird, right? That it kinda didn't work. Right, now we've got that set at 1,000, and it looked to me like 1,000 isn't enough for that guy. Right? So we're going to set it back to 2,000. Right, I don't know what's going on with that. Right, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually link this to something else, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put it in our pawn again. Except this time, what we're going to do is we're going to get our parasite zombie, right? And then we're not going to do that. We're going to get a parasite zombie dude. We're going to compile that. Right, we're going to delete that. We're going to refresh this. We're going to get this. We're going to say for each. Right, we're going to get this. Then we're going to get a parasite, and we're going to say activate fire. Okay. So now when we hit the 8 button, he should just go on fire. There should be nothing mucking around with this. Right, this doesn't matter. Right, we can just basically do that. Okay. So if we hit 8, he goes on fire. There we go. Right, and then after 10 seconds it should all go off. Right, and then if we hit 8 again, there he goes, on fire. Now the interesting thing here is, for this particular for this zombie, right, we want to have a look at this, and we want to have a look at these original numbers. Right, yeah, it shouldn't be spawning like gazillions of these, because, right, if I just put 1, 1 and 1, right, save that, we don't want to do that. Press play. You can see there that he's gradually going on fire. Right, if I press A again, right, so I'm just wondering if we go to our zombie and we do a reset. Right. Now, what we should actually maybe do here is clamp the lower value, because maybe if we pass this 0, that's why the spawn isn't quite right. Okay, because what I'm wondering is, if I put 0 in there, right, let's see what actually happens. Right, so if I hit 0, yeah, we're getting the embers, but we're not getting anything else. So that actually works. But why does it do that? Right, so what I'm thinking is, either A, we duplicate them, right, and we duplicate that, right, so we reset it basically, and then what we'll do is we'll put it before this, we'll test it, and then we'll put it after it and test it. Okay, so press play. Right, so hit the button, looking good, except for one thing, which is this. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so that's going off now. The funny thing is, to me, right, that it seems right that that's not doing. Oh yeah, okay, it's flip-flopping, isn't it? Right, so what we need to do is we need to go to our pawn, and we need to not do that. right? In fact, we basically just don't want to flip-flop, right, for the moment. Right. So we press 8, and there he goes, on fire. Right. And now if we press 8, he goes on fire again. Now, what I think it is it's because the last time we set it, right, it continues from here. It activates at what it was. What I'm pretty sure we need to do is this, is actually go from here to here, to here, oops, to here, then to here. Now, I'm actually solving a problem that we'll never have, right? And that's because basically if you set the bad guy on fire, then it's basically going to be his end, right? So we're never actually going to switch it off and reset it and do this again, right? But I just want to see, you know, for future reference, if this works, okay? So, we're going to press this. So we go 8. There he goes, off on fire. I think the flames are coming up too fast, right? And there it goes, it's going off. Right, I'm going to press fire. And there we go, it starts slow, so I was right. Okay? So there it goes, it's going off. Then we press the button and it gradually goes on fire again. Right, so that's cool, that's all good. We have actually done something other than mucking about tonight, right? That is at least a bit of progress. Well, funnily enough, we did make the burning house as well earlier, so I'm not calling that a total. Now, what we actually might want to do is get this curve, right, and put auto. Right, and then basically do something like that. Right. So we hit doom. So it gradually builds up and then it's really fast, and then so basically what I'm saying here is at some point during this he's going to collapse and fall over and he's going to be on fire, right? And what I can do is we can check his let me see, if we look at his, where is he? Monsters, parasite, zombie, animation, and we've got our animation blueprint, right? So if we go to our anim graph, locomotion, dead, right? What we could do here is X amount of time in here, we can set them to dead, right? So in effect, if we go to here, we can add an event track, right? We can rename this to trigger death anim. Okay, and we can add the thing here, and we can put it there and set it to value 1. Save it, go back to our event graph. You'll notice now we've got trigger death anim, and funnily enough, what we could do is set as dead, right? So what we could do is basically set as dead. Okay, so with that in mind, we can do that, and he starts on fire. And there he goes. Okay. And then we could put a dissolve on him that starts off at the same sort of colour as the fire, and then tie that in. But anyway guys, if you've enjoyed the stream, hit like and subscribe, it helps a lot and I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 PM. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description for links to the Groenland's Discord server and my personal Discord server, plus my Patreon where you can throw a couple of bucks my way, or my previous game on Steam where you can buy my game for $1, and that would help as well, and you get a game for it. So hopefully see you guys tomorrow, 2 PM Central. Bye bye for now.